Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy full moon. Woofda. I am so happy and excited and grateful to be here today to hold space for you guys. The energy of this full moon has been intense for the past 2 weeks, to say the least. This morning I woke up and this is the first morning in 2 weeks where I have felt like myself again rather than, I don't know, just out to lunch. So hopefully you guys are feeling okay. Hopefully you've been hanging in there. If you do find that you are affected by the full moon, you're here. So I'm assuming you do, tend to be swayed a little bit by the full moon. So let's go ahead and dive in. And I feel like there's a lot that's going to come up today. So I'm thinking we'll probably be here for 30 minutes, maybe longer, maybe a little bit less. So I recommend that you really settle in and give yourself the time and the space to really sit with this, to really receive this, and let's get started. So as you're settling in, I'm going to do a little bit of cleansing and saging. I also recommend putting on some nice calming music. So I do have a playlist on Spotify that I created that I listen to when I'm meditating or doing any of this type of quantum work. I'll try to remember to put the link to that I'll try to remember to include the link to that. So as you're settling in, nice deep breaths. Slow, gentle belly breaths. And we're really going to start things off quite slowly and gently today, because I think that we are going to be getting into some pretty intense messages from the guides. They were keeping me up a little bit last night as I was trying to fall asleep. They were chatting away. And so I thought we'd start today off just very slowly, very gently. Just breathing and just come within. And I'm going to sort of make the switch into quantum where I'm more into a channeling mode. I'm going to pull myself a bit closer because I always feel like this mic doesn't pick my voice up that well. Okay. I do have music going for myself. Hopefully it's not too much in the background for you. Okay. Let's just take some time to notice, to observe what's going on within. Taking some time to sit with all of that. So what have you been experiencing? What have you been going through? Have you been struggling, as I have for the past couple weeks, or maybe even longer? Or have you been feeling pretty good? Those of you who I know are here, who are registered right now, there may be more of you in the future who sign up or who purchase this session. But those of you who I know are here, who I know right now in this moment are going to be watching, you're all on some type of journey, some type of healing, self-healing, spiritual awakening, and ascension. So hopefully you are able to go within and just sit with what's going on for you without trying to change it. We are going to get into some releasing, but for now we're just observing. We're just seeing what's going on. And so much of the power of self-healing lies in just being able to observe and to sit with what's going on within. We're taught throughout life, that it's bad or it's wrong, or that there are certain emotions and certain energies and things that we shouldn't just sit with. We shouldn't want to feel sad. We shouldn't want to feel grief. Those are things that we kind of tend to push away. Even the more uncomfortable, difficult things like inner child healing, the key is to be able to sit with all of that as those old emotions are coming up to the surface, sitting with it and letting it bubble up to the surface so that it can be acknowledged and released. And just continuing to breathe. Like I said, we're having a slow, gentle start. Let's plug into the earth energies, into Mother Earth. So I've been working closely with a group of my guides called Earth Spirits. And even over the past 6 months or a little bit more, that's where I've been really connecting into the frequencies of the earth, into those vibrations, because they're so healing. And they're so healing without judgment or expectation. So I find that to sit with those energies of the earth is sometimes a more, not safe, but a more, I'm not sure what the word is. When we're doing self-healing, we still have our ego in our minds, right? We still have those narratives and those loops and the judgments and all of those things that are kind of in, even if you can step back and be the observer of those, they're still there. So I oftentimes find that allowing the earth and those energies to hold space for me, and when I can just sit in that and I can surrender to that, it's transformative. It's huge. So plugging into that now, even if you have trouble feeling into what that feels like, that's okay. We're going quantum here today. So anything I guide you to, anything I am facilitating the holding space of, it's going to happen energetically. So just trust the process. As I said, release, let go, surrender as much as you can. I'm gonna start doing some playing around here, just with the magic energy that we're gonna be sitting with. So allowing your root to just open. So this may be an area where you have been struggling. Our root chakra is tied into our survivability, having our needs met. Oftentimes in this day and age, in this society, having our needs met is directly linked into money or lack of money. So poverty consciousness, all of our beliefs and thoughts and feelings and struggles and illusions and limitations with money. So if that's something that you have, if that's something that has been at the forefront for you, your root chakra is maybe a little bit sluggish. Maybe it's just very lethargic almost, is kind of the energy that's coming through. So relax into that. And just for now, allow that root chakra to open up and allow your energy to connect into the earth, grounding you down, anchoring you, opening up through the crown where you're given access to your higher self. So now that higher self energy can come and flow down into your body, through you, and just kind of fill you up and then there's an open connection down into the earth. So there's this open flow of energy that's just continuous for you. And breathe that in. So the full moon is all about shedding. It's all about releasing. So now that things are opened up a little bit, you've expanded wider than just here, right? Wider than just within your body or within your mind. We've opened up to those higher self frequencies and energies, to those earth energies, and really allowing the boundaries between you and the outside of you to just kind of dissolve and fade away. And so now there's this really beautiful energy of expansion. And with this, we're sitting with the frequency of the money stuff is still kind of pinging. So I'm going to stay on that topic. We're going to go with the flow with that. So we're coming into this frequency where you're aligning with your higher self. You're aligning with your highest timeline, your most optimal timeline. And on your most optimal timeline, there's no money struggles, there's no money stress or worry. It's easy. Okay, money flows. And so when we're in this frequency, and again, if you're having trouble feeling into that or tuning into that, that's okay. I'm carrying you guys with me. There is no separation between you and the frequency of abundance and wealth and prosperity. So as you imagine the boundaries or the outlines of your body dissolving, if you tend to think of things or see things as you are separate from money, this is where you get to play around with that's actually not the case. Because those boundaries are dissolving. Now, where before you had you over here and money was over there and it was a separate thing, all of these frequencies begin to intermingle with each other. So you are a light being, okay? You are not a human body. You're living within a human body, right? So you're living on planet Earth. You want to be able to enjoy life, and that takes money sometimes, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. This is something I've been working through for myself as well for forever, it seems like. But understanding that you are light consciousness, energy. You are an energetic being. You are not just this physical body and your mind. That maybe makes it a little bit easier for you to open up and to let those boundaries between self and everything else dissolve. Now, something I'm going to mention, a kind of side note of this, is that when I speak of your boundaries dissolving, I don't mean boundaries that you place with others or with yourself. I don't mean, if you're an empath and you find that you need to kind of protect yourself a little bit and put some of those energetic protective boundaries up. Keep doing what you're doing. I simply mean the outline between you and the energies of the things that you would like to have in your life. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm not wanting to disregard any of the boundaries that you place for yourself, for others, or anything like that. But when we're working here in quantum, those boundaries that I speak of, we're doing those here in the physical on Earth. That's what we need to do sometimes to help ourselves, right? But we're up here right now, okay? So we're up here, out there in the cosmos. We're out in quantum doing this work. And so we're we're not in a space where we're above or we're better than or we're working with any of that type of energy, but we're up here, okay? So hopefully you know what I mean when I say that. So see how that feels for you. See if you're able to visualize or feel into those frequencies where there's no separation between you and money. It's just you are able to exist on that same frequency of wealth and abundance, whatever that might look like for you. And when I say wealth and abundance, I don't mean millions and millions and millions of dollars necessarily. I just mean there's no stress, there's none of that tension that comes along, with being stressed about money or any of that. Okay, let's touch back in with the root chakra now and see how that's feeling. So I feel that it has contracted a little bit again as we've been talking about this. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and just open that up again. And breathe. Always be breathing. All right. So now that we're nice and open and flowing, let's play around with this full moon energy. So there's some intensity, okay, that's coming along with this full moon. And a lot of the time with these sessions, when I was doing the Aligned Living Sanctuary, it was just a lot of me just kind of talking and teaching and really just gently holding space. But what's coming through here today is a more aggressive energy, a helpful, aggressive energy of facilitation, of change, okay? So what my guides have been coming through with, and this is going to apply to everyone. So just bear with me as I kind of reopen up to them, as I had to sort of just ask them to shush last night as they were being very loud. So think about where you're at right now with yourself, with your life, with maybe your spiritual journey or your awakening. So this is what the guides have to say about this. This is it. This is happening. This is where you are meant to be. Okay, so there's this energy that's available to you of this is it. It's time for you to stop playing small. It's time for you to seize on the energies that are available to you and utilize them to transmute, to transform, to ascend, and to level up, okay? So all of these excuses that you've been making for yourself, all of these stories, all of this bullshit that you have been sitting in, no more of that. The energies that are coming along with this full moon are offering you the opportunity to shed all of those old layers, all of it. There's no more playing small with your healing even. So you have to sit with all of that past stuff, okay? All of the stories you tell about yourself, all of the projections, the perceptions that other people have placed on you, the expectations that other people have placed on you, the expectations that you have placed on yourself, all of the stories about you failing or not being able to do it or never getting to where you want to be. They are just that. They are stories. They are illusions that your ego draws on and feeds on because those have been your past experiences. That's what you know. That's what's comfortable for you. So that's where the ego wants to live. That's where the ego wants to stay. It wants to remain in that comfort. On the other side of that, it's unknown. Okay, there are areas where you have never traveled to before. And I don't mean physically, I mean energetically, emotionally, mentally. You have the capacity to get there. But in order to get there, you need to let go of all of that baggage. I'm having an image shown to me where you are walking down like a dirt path, a dirt road, and there's miles and miles and miles of backpacks and suitcases and like old vintage style like trunks, and you're just dragging it all behind you, and it's so heavy. And guess what? You don't need to carry that with you anymore. You don't need to carry that baggage. Think about how heavy that has been. Feel that. Feel how heavy it's been. Don't even just think about it. Feel it. All of your money stories, all of your relationship stories, all of your inner child hurts and pains and griefs, all of your past trauma. Yes, those things happen to you, but hold on, because we're shifting onto a new timeline, and it's as simple as that. Okay? So I'm going to share with you guys the vision that's coming through here, because this is some big energy, okay? So breathe with this as I am explaining what's happening here with these timelines. So right now, you're on this timeline where you're walking down the gravel road, the path, you're pulling all of that baggage behind you. My God, it's so heavy. I don't know if you guys can feel it or not, but it's just like crushing. And you've been dragging all of this baggage for a lifetime. Lifetimes, okay? And within each of those suitcases, within each individual piece of baggage, is a trauma, an experience where you felt embarrassed, where you were bullied. It's all of your inner child stuff. It's all of your shadow stuff. All of the stuff that you don't even know exists yet within you. And so what's happening is I'm coming in to this vision here that I'm seeing. And I know this is coming in a little bit aggressively, but that's happening that way so that it can shake you up enough to get you to open your eyes, to get you to see, to get you to put this baggage down. So I'm coming in and standing in front of you now and just saying, you can let this go. You can put this down. And I already can feel that there's some hesitant people, some hesitant energies, some hesitant egos, I should say, that are not going to necessarily want to put that baggage down because that's where the comfort is. That's what you know, right? And I am just persisting that it is okay, it's safe to put all of that baggage down. Take the backpack off, because it's like it's a you're wearing a backpack and then everything is attached in the back of that. So taking those backpack straps off and just letting it fall to the ground, and now breathing in, and it's like, I don't know if you could see me or not, or if you're even watching me, but taking that backpack off, and it's this energy of the shoulders come back, the heart opens up. So it's this huge energy of expansion and lightness. And this is a new energy. This is something completely new because you've been carrying this baggage for so long. You don't know what this lightness has felt like. So if you feel a little bit maybe vulnerable or kind of raw or exposed, that's okay. Sit with that. Breathe into yourself. Grounding, anchoring into yourself, anchoring into the earth. Breathe audibly like that, okay? The breath is going to help facilitate you here in the physical, what's happening out there in quantum. So nice deep breaths. There's a lot of intense energy happening here, so just be gentle with yourself. Okay, so I'm going to continue on following through. This is kind of playing out like a movie. So now that you have put all of that heavy baggage down, and there's this energy of buoyancy, this energy of lightness that has come in, you are able to up level to a new timeline. Whew. This energy is so intense. I don't know if you guys are feeling it physically, but I'm nauseous. My entire body's sweating. I'm having like hot flashes. As you can hear in my throat, as I keep having to clear my throat, there's a lot that's releasing. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Okay. So you have essentially put all that heavy baggage down, and that has enabled you to float upwards onto a higher timeline for yourself. Okay. So I don't know how much you guys are aware of in terms of timelines, but let me give you a very, very quick rundown. I could sit and talk about timelines for a long time, but I won't. If you have any further questions, you can email me and let me know. But timelines, gosh, this is a topic that is even hard for me sometimes still to wrap my mind around. But essentially, everything exists as a potentiality out in the quantum field, okay? So everything you could possibly imagine for yourself, all of the things you can't even fathom for yourself, already are existing out in the quantum field, okay? So what this means is that there are infinity number of different timelines that you are on energetically. So when you're working with timelines, for example, I hold the vibration and the energy, the frequency of my highest, most optimal timeline. And then I take action steps. I do the work here in the physical to further align me with my highest timeline. Okay, so every choice you make, every action step you take, everything you do in life, and I know this might be overwhelming to think about, but everything you do in life is putting you onto one timeline or the other, right? Not that there's only two. Remember, there's infinity number of timelines. So today, for example, if I clean the house instead of meditating, that puts me on a timeline, a certain timeline. If I journal and meditate and I sink into that frequency of my higher self, that puts me on a different timeline, right? If you take a left turn instead of a right turn, that puts you on a different timeline energetically out in the quantum field. So hopefully that sort of makes sense. If not, that's okay. Just trust the process of what we're doing in quantum here. So now you are on this new timeline, okay, where you are no longer carrying the weight of all of that baggage. Now, what's coming through is that some of you may be more easily able to be on this higher timeline without having to specifically address some or all of that baggage, okay? And some of you may have to still dive in and do some self-healing with some of your baggage, because there's still lingering energies that are going to be within you, that need to be addressed, okay? So what this is kind of looking and feeling like is being on this new timeline. That baggage is still there, but you're not carrying it anymore, if that makes sense. So, as I said, some of you might be able to more easily just walk away. Okay, that bit, like, I'm ready to go now. That baggage has been released. I am. Last night I was journaling, and this is coming through for you guys now too. Is that I was being presented with a clean slate, essentially. So all of the stories from my past, all of those energies and all of that past trauma and just all of that bullshit, I can now start. It's like starting from like a 0 point and starting fresh, starting with a clean slate and writing my story how I want it to be. Okay, so some of you might find yourself in that energy where, okay, this is a fresh start, this is a clean slate. That doesn't mean that those past things haven't happened to you, you haven't experienced them, but you're just on a different timeline now where they're not so heavy within you. Maybe for you, it might even be that this shift makes it a little bit lighter or maybe easier to go back into some of that baggage in order to heal it. Does that make sense? So there's kind of a few different energies at play, but no matter what, no matter kind of where you're at in your journey, you're on this new timeline now. Okay, so you've hopped onto a new timeline where it's expansive and it's light and you're not carrying that heaviness on your back anymore. Okay? Whew. So sit with that, breathe that in, let that percolate and marinate a little bit. Okay. I'm just kind of wanting to see if there's anything more that the guides have to say. I don't think that there is. So we're going to get into some of the action steps now that I recommend you take. The full moon was last night at around 11:30. It's 8 a.m. right now. So generally the energies of the full moon kind of linger. You can take advantage of them for about 24 hours afterwards. So you have all day and all evening to sit and work on some of this for yourself if you haven't done so already. Okay, so first of all, keep in mind, keep a vision if you can in your mind of being on this higher timeline now. So your ego might try to pull you back down a little bit and kind of, you know, convince you that you still want to sit in those heavy, those dense frequencies and energies of all of that baggage. So hold that energy of your higher timeline, okay? So, God, there's just such a freshness here. It's like I don't know, it's like fresh fruit or something, which kind of sounds weird, but it's just so new and so, it's like a newborn baby where it's just a clean slate. It's like a fresh notebook where you get to just fill it with whatever you want. So whatever type of imagery might come through for you, just kind of roll with it. So number one, be aware of your ego and its stories and how it might try to kind of pull you back a little bit or a lot down into those lower frequencies. Okay, number one step is awareness. Be the observer. Okay. Number two, take some action steps to observe whatever past baggage you feel you are really ready to let go of. So even though you're on this new timeline, you've set that baggage down, you've let go of that heaviness. That's not to say that some of that stuff doesn't still need to have a light shone on it, so that the any of the kind of lingering energy can release. Okay? It's like it's like in a movie or TV show where like it's a wedding or something and they release the doves, right? It's the doves are all of that kind of old energy, those old emotions, those old stories that are just sitting within. And all you need to do a lot of the time in order to release and let go of that is to just open the lid on it, right? And then it all gets to just fly away. So this is where the work can get uncomfortable. If you've been doing this type of work, you already know this. But this is, as the guide said, this is the time, okay? Harness the opportunity, harness this energy to let go of all of this. So this is going to look different for each one of you because each one of you has different traumas, different experiences, different emotions, different things that you've gone through that have made up your baggage, right? So this is where you have to take the action. I can't be there to do this for you, okay? This is your responsibility to go through, and I recommend journal out all of the shit that you want to release, all of that you want to let go of. And I would include the things that you're conscious of, and I would also just jot down or include all of the subconscious things as well. So I don't have my journal sitting beside me, otherwise I would share with you. But last night I sat down to do my full moon shadow work. A lot of it was my money stories. I also jotted down, I want to release energy from old relationships, romantic relationships. I made my big list. I wrote it all out. And then I also included, and any and all of the subconscious beliefs, thoughts, feelings, limitations, illusions, etc., that are keeping me in a lower frequency, that are keeping me in a lower timeline, right? Word it however you want to, but just know that yes, there may be so many things that you're conscious and aware of, but there's also still things within the subconscious. So if your kind of humanness gets the best of you and you want to write down all of the specifics, ask your guides or ask your higher self to show you and to help you dig into some of those subconscious things that you want to release, okay? So that's going to be one of your physical action steps that you can take to facilitate yourself after this session is over and within the energy of this full moon, okay? And think of it as layers, and you're just shedding layers. Think of it like it's wintertime. It's -40 and you've been outside and you have your undershirt and your long johns and your socks, and then you have your pants and your sweater, and maybe you have like a sweater vest and then your winter coat and your toque and your scarf, right? You're shedding all of these layers. Okay, so there is a lot of intense energy happening right now. Do your best to anchor into yourself, anchor into the earth, okay? Because that's going to help you remain grounded as you're working with all of this, if you're feeling overwhelmed, whatever the case may be. So number one, awareness, right? Watch your ego, watch where you're kind of functioning from, be the observer. Number two is journaling. And, if you can, if it's safe, if you feel comfortable with this, I would recommend journaling and then burning it, because that's going to be a further step in the physical of releasing that energy. Okay, so burn it if you can, if you feel comfortable with that. If not, maybe just rip it up into pieces, and don't sit and read it over and over and over. So just write out everything. Don't go back and read it over, because you're just kind of like re-ingesting that energy, if that makes sense. So do your best to not just sit and stew in all of that. Journal it out, let it go, get rid of it, okay? Even if you don't throw it away or burn it, just, okay, flip to the next page in your journal. Okay, and then number three is going to be to breathe. So I know during these sessions, oftentimes I get a little bit worked up as the guides are coming through, as we're working in quantum, and it can sometimes be a little bit less than relaxing and calming to listen to me and to watch me. But this is where you get to come into your own peace. You get to come into your own frequency, okay? Is using the breath. Also, the breath is another way that you can physically facilitate yourself to pull those changes from the energetic, okay, from quantum down into your body. So use that breath to essentially, it's like I don't know what it's called, but it's a type of fishing or something. I don't even know where in the world but that they do it, but it's like a huge net, but it starts out as this little thing and they kind of just like swing it or something and they let it go and expands into this like big huge thing. Okay, so and then it just falls flat onto the water and then they pull it in. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. I don't know what it's called, but that's the image that's been coming through. So use the breath like that. Send that breath out and use it to kind of like harness and not that you're clinging or you're forcing, but use it to just pull that energy in down into your body, okay? And that this is where you get to play around with the energetic and the physical and kind of bridging that gap, so to speak, is using the breath. Gentle, slow, deep breaths into the chest, into the belly, okay? Whew. Okay, that's going to be it for today. I have a couple of book recommendations for you guys because I know you guys are doing the work and you're on self-healing journeys and these different things. There's a couple of books that I recommend. So the holistic psychologist, Dr. Nicole LePera, I used a lot of her work and her kind of tools and her concept of reparenting. I don't know if it was originally hers, but she's where I learned a lot of this stuff from. And I don't follow her anymore just because I'm just not a vibrational match for her anymore. I've kind of moved on. But I am reading her book, How to Do the Work. So even though I know a lot of this, I've done a lot of this work, I'm still reading her book because I still like to read and learn about the same types of topics from different people, if that makes sense. And then the other book is called Shit Your Ego Says. It's on my e-reader, so I can't show you the cover of it, but that's what it's called. I think it's called Shit Your Ego Says. And I'm very familiar with the ego. I've read books about the ego, and I've really been enjoying this one. It gives a bit of a lighter, simpler way to see your ego, to see how you've been functioning from your ego. And so I recommend that book as well. If I remember, I'll try to put them in the description or I'll link them or something for you guys so that it makes it easier for you. But those are just a couple resources that you guys maybe want to check out. If not, I mean, that's fine. So let's finish up with a nice deep breath, slowly inhaling through the nose. And let it go. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for showing up for yourself, for giving this to yourself. And if you have any questions, you can let me know. If you want more insight and healing that's specific to you, you can book a session, you can book a 3-month mentorship. Take the recommendations for doing the work that I mentioned, and at the bare minimum, work on those throughout the day or the evening. And I'll see you guys next time. I love you so, so, so much. Happy full mooning, happy self-healing, and take care. Have a good day.